I come in wrong. Too fast, too hot, screaming in a tin seed that hates me. Red Ridge Orbital opens like a jaw anyway and bites down on my lifeboat. Bay clamps hit, magnetic teeth grinding through the hull's old scars. Foam floods the cradle and the capsule shudders, a dying fish gulping fire. I hold the yoke like prayer and listen to my breath fog the cracked visor. The deck lifts to meet me, hard and certain. Things stop moving. I don't. The hatch blows. Station air arrives like cold metal rain, copper taste, ozone, disinfectant mint. My ears pop. The world tilts, then steadies when a hand finds my wrist. Vitals, she says, and the suit obeys her faster than it obeys me. She is tall, luminous-skinned, voice like balanced glass. The light from the bay drapes against her cheekbones, turns her irises the color of solder cooling. 2 maintenance drones hover at her shoulders like polite guards. She steadies my wrist the way you stop a glass from tipping. Her fingers linger exactly 1 heartbeat longer than necessary. I notice. I pretend I don't. The capsule is arguing with itself, she murmurs, tracing the burn along the port thruster housing. Her movements are precise. No wasted angle, no fishing for tools. The drones place a scanner in her palm before she asks. She returns it to the exact contour it left, cable coiled into a flat spiral a boot won't catch. A laugh slips out of me, because that's how I keep from shaking. You'd make a great wife. She doesn't blink. She just extends 1 finger and slides the inner bulkhead shut. The station noise dies, a coughed-out engine finally giving up. We are contained in a hush made of pressure seals and the wet tick of my cooling capsule. Interesting. She tilts her head by degrees, as if calibrating. On Earth, that's a compliment. I nod. Where I grew up, yeah. Something minute relaxes at the corner of her mouth. We both laugh, short, careful, like we've found an unsecured hatch and don't want to open it too wide. The sound skims the tool lockers, touches the drone housings, fades. Silence again, but not empty. The kind you lean into. I clock the small things. How she angles a work light to spare my eyes. How she shifts her stance between me and a puddle of coolant I haven't seen yet. Micro kindnesses disguised as procedure. Her badge says Sarah and nothing else. Her posture says, do not waste her time. Somehow I want to. Name? She asks, wand sliding down the blistered seam. Luke Hansen, 27. Freelancer with terrible aim. Syra, she says. No title. No rank. The syllables sit like a decision. A warning glyph crawls across the capsule's skin like a rash. She rests her palm on the metal, and the glyph freezes, then drains away. Not standard. Not station. My breath stutters, and I hope she doesn't hear it. You flew manual, she observes. I couldn't get the auto to trust me. Her eyes hold mine for half a second longer than her training allows. Machines have good reasons. People do too. The foam recedes, popping in small, satisfied sighs. 1 drone lowers a med spray. She dismisses it with a flick I almost miss. I climb down and my boot slips. Her other hand catches my elbow, and heat lifts through my sleeve. Contact small as a coin and just as treasured. It's nothing. It's everything, because I haven't been held in a long time by anyone who meant to steady me and not assess me. Pulse normalizing, she says. Breath rate high. A pause. Understandable. You talk like an instruction manual, I answer, which is safer than saying, please keep touching my elbow like that. Her mouth threatens another almost smile. Manuals are written after the damage. Good editors. Not always, she says, and checks the scorch pattern again, gaze ticking across variables I can't see. The drone's optics dim politely, as if the machines know they're witnessing intimacy and have the decency to look away. There's a smear of grease on the back of my glove. I rub at it and just make a darker smear. The act calms me anyway. Busy hands make brave hearts, my father used to say when the sky over the reclamation fields went green with weather. I keep my voice even. I learned in bad wind that tone is ballast. If you keep it level, the rest of you believes. Salvage licensing? She asks, formal again. Expired yesterday, I admit. I was hoping to crash discreetly. An eyebrow lifts a measured millimeter. Successful crashes are rarely discreet. I'm an overachiever. She shifts the scanner, ascends the capsule's curve in 3 soft steps, and kneels to peer into a heat-frayed seam. The bay lights paint her skin soft gold. The seam's glow reflects in her eyes. If she's human, she's a particular flavor I haven't met. If she isn't, then Red Ridge has upgraded its hiring standards. She touches the seam with 2 fingers. The metal calms under her hand, like an animal recognizing a voice. That is not nothing. I look away so I won't stare. The bulkhead shut behind us makes a cocoon of the bay. I try to catalog the sound. Tiny fans, drip of coolant, a timer ticking twice per second somewhere in the rafters. Outside, haulers grunt and dock workers haggle, and somebody swears in 3 languages. Inside, it's us and the quiet of decisions you can't unmake. What were you carrying? She asks. Regret, I say, because the truth is either that or fuel cells, and the fuel cells are toast. She takes the joke, or she catalogs it for later and moves on. Your capsule will live, she says, lifting the wand. Will you? Depends who's fixing me. This time the smile arrives and stays. Small. Real. It lands in me like a folded blanket over cold knees. The drone chirps a reminder. She ignores it. Dock repair queue is long, she says, but the diagnostics bay is mine. Yours. For the next 6 hours. Her eyes flick to the clock rune glowing over the door, then back to me. I can make it quiet longer. Is that standard, I ask, or did I just get upgraded service? She seems to weigh the answer against a list of rules I can't see. Consider it calibration. For me or the ship? For both, she says, and steps closer to lift my visor seal with deliberate care. The cracked gasket sighs. Air cools my cheek. I smell her. Mild heat. Ozone. Lemon from sanitizer. A mineral note I can't name. She checks my pupils. I keep my gaze steady and fail for 1 heartbeat, because hers is exactly where I'd look if I had better manners. Hold, she says. Soft. I hold. There's a scar by her ear, a thin parabola half hidden by a strand of hair too white to be dyed, too silver to be old. The line looks like a map feature on a chart you're not supposed to see. It is a clue I store without understanding. Who brought you in? She asks, stepping back. Traffic didn't log a tug. I wrote a thermal up from atmosphere and let the station pretend it was gravity. I scratch my neck, hear the suit fabric hiss. I told the auto not to look. Machines dislike omissions. I'll apologize later. I pause. To you first. Noted, she says again. The word warmed now. A rectangle of light creeps under the bulkhead seam, motion like distant footsteps. She watches it with a patient predator stillness, then returns her attention to my hands. You're shaking, she says. Only on the inside. She considers, then reaches for my glove strap. Permission? I nod. The strap peels. Her fingers are warmer than the bay air, and the pressure she uses is perfect. No more, no less. She turns my palm, studies the bruise raised at the base of my thumb. Her thumb presses once, a measured point. Pain flares. The world snaps into tighter focus. Grip strain. You held too hard, she says. Approving and disapproving at once. Seemed like a bad time to go loose. There is a middle, she replies, and places my hand against the cool curve of the hull, covering it with hers. The metal hums. My pulse slows, not because the hull sings to me, but because she does. It's easier to breathe in here, I say before I can stop myself. She hears it, does not pretend she doesn't. Good. We exist for a while in the simple loop of scan, adjust, breathe. She recoils a cable. I swallow too loudly. She pretends not to hear it. I pretend not to watch the precise architecture of her hands. Finally, Luke Hansen, Syra says, like she's testing how the name fits in her mouth. On Earth, being called a great wife is a compliment. Where I grew up, yeah. What does it purchase? Not purchase, I say, surprised at the bite in my voice. It's a promise, or a hope, that someone is steady. She examines me as if a new instrument has landed on her bench. Steady, she repeats, like she's tasting the weight of the word. I haven't been steady in a while, I admit. Then you chose the correct bay, she says, and the static in my chest drains. Outside, the station coughs itself awake again. Somewhere far, a freight elevator drums. A recycler kicks. The rectangle of light under the bulkhead grows and shrinks as bodies pass. Inside, her drones dim their lenses to dusk. She doesn't send me away. I don't ask to leave. Repair queue, she says, like we had been discussing that all along. I can push you 2 slots forward. Corruption? Optimization, she corrects. And there it is again, the small heat between us. She returns the scanner to its cradle, fingers brushing mine, and the room gets quieter without getting any less loud. Thank you, I say. For what? For the calibration, I answer. Syra inclines her head. The gesture is almost a bow, almost an acknowledgement, almost a door opening. Welcome to Red Ridge, Luke Hansen, she says. Welcome feels like a promise, or a hope, or, if I believed in it, steady. The next morning, station time, I find Sarah where light sifts through a grill like coins sliding across a table. The diagnostics bay has been rinsed clean of my fire. The drones idle with lantern eyes half shut. She stands with her palm on the bulkhead panel, listening to something inside the metal, like a medic listening to a rib cage. You can walk? She asks without turning. More or less, I say. My pride limps. Good, she answers. And that's when I see the small pack slung over her shoulder. Not a repair kit, a training kit. Follow. Syra walks like instructions done right, steps measured, head steady. No wasted sway. We pass corridors where ads flicker different languages on the same face, and vending walls hiss up breakfast sachets, cinnamon algae loaf, instant lung mint, coffee grown in towers under borrowed suns. Dock workers in sweat sheens argue about fuel allotments. A kid in a mag sling boots passed like a comet tail, laughing until a warning rune snaps over his wristband, and he steadies. We reach Sim Bay 3. The door heaves open with a shaped sigh. Inside, the chamber is round and patient. Handrails ring the cylinder. Safety nets bloom at the ends, like clouds someone has tied down. The room is empty enough that my breath has an echo. Don't let go of the rail, Syra says, and there's humor under it like a coin under paper. Copy, I say, even though every muscle in me wants to prove something by floating unhooked. She keys sequences with 2 fingers. The drones have not followed. It's just us and the bay's soft lights. The floor loosens. The world lets go of my feet. Weight lifts like a coat shouldered off by an invisible friend. I catch the rail. Cold bite in my palm, a good anchor. Syra drifts off the opposite rail with her knees slightly bent, perfect as a diagram. Breathe in, she says. Count 4. Breathe out. Count 6. We meet in the middle of the chamber, like 2 slow comets, and she corrects my stance by touching my shoulder, then my back. then the hinge where spine becomes doubt. Every place she touches corrects more than posture. We circle the handrails, the two of us tethered by sight and small instructions. My body remembers flight badly, and then, under her gaze, remembers better. I bend my knees, and the spin stops. I extend my arms, and the slide eases. She nods once. Approval as spare as a ration bar. "Don't oversteer," Syra murmurs. "Let the room tell you." Rooms talk, if you listen. She touches the rail and sends herself gliding toward me, slow, deliberate, as if asking the air to move aside instead of ordering it. Again. We repeat the drift and catch. Breath in, breath out. My heart sinks with the stutter of the air system. On the third pass, she lifts my wrist and lays my palm along the inner curve of the rail. "Not your fingers," she says. "Your palm. Spread the force where you can survive it." Copy. I shift. The tremor in my forearm vanishes like a radio squeal cut clean. On the next loop, I notice her looking at my throat. Not long. Just enough. Heat stirs under my skin as if the room has a sun we didn't see on entry. I return the favor, and my eyes catch on the line of her collarbone, on a pulse that beats there with calm defiance. She is very still, and very alive inside that stillness. "Good," she says, not about where I'm looking, and then she moves close enough that our knees almost touch. "This is a correction," she adds, and lays her palm flat between my shoulder blades. "Breathe here." Our motions begin to sink. The stupid lurch is gone. What's left is quiet. Rail to hand, palm to back, breath to breath. The rail carries our shared weight like a sentence we are both willing to say. I learn her micro-signals, the slight tilt that means roll, the tiny lift that means hold, the way her eyebrows ask a question faster than her lips. I answer with pressure on metal, with the steadiness I promised myself I'd rebuild. Jokes shrink to low sentences. Voices drop to the kind you use in the dark when the person you're meant to be brave for is 2 inches away. "What's the point of this sim?" I ask when my brain can risk words. "Trust," she says. "In what?" "In the part of you that doesn't want command," she pauses, "and in the part that can accept help without debt. Debt's a language out here. Too many speak it." Her hand lingers a heartbeat longer in the small of my back, like punctuation after a truth. We drift again. A light on the panel flares and dims. Bay 3's little weather. I taste metal and something greener. Syra's shoulder brushes my chest. Neither of us pretends it's accidental. Neither of us makes it anything other than what it is. The world narrows to skin warmth and the soft hum of the rad sink working above us. "You're quieter today," she says. "Your bay is contagious." Her mouth almost smiles. She reaches past me to adjust a baffle. Her forearm grazes my ribs. I feel the electricity of restraint in her, the discipline of someone who has built themselves according to orders, and I want to know which orders matter and which ones she's ignoring right now. "Again," she says. And we do. And at some point the lesson stops being a lesson and becomes motion we share, because sharing it is the point. I forget to be clever. She forgets to be invulnerable. When my foot slips off the rail, she doesn't scold. She just catches my hip and sets me back. Fingers strong, grip sure, zero tremble. The sim powers down in a sigh that sounds like relief. Gravity remembers us reluctantly. We settle into the safety net like 2 travelers finding the same bench after separate long nights. No one rushes to stand. The room stays round around us. A held breath no longer needed, but not yet released. Syra's hair has come loose from the tie I didn't know it had. A pale strand arcs along her jaw, like a drawn line on a star map. I reach without thinking and tuck it behind her ear. My knuckle grazes the scar I noticed yesterday. She closes her eyes and opens them. Once, as if that small kindness ricocheted through a system not designed to process it. Permission? I ask, because last night a warm palm on my elbow rearranged my definitions. Yes, she says, not whispering, just lowering her voice, as if we're in a library, where explanations go to become quiet memories. Her hand rises and finds my chest like she's taking a reading, and my heart cooperates, presenting itself. She feels it and does not pull away. Words go unnecessary, not absent, just not the right tool. She's very close. I can count the tiny flecks in her irises, metal filings caught in amber. Her breath hits my lower lip and sits there, patient. I ask with my eyes. She nods. We kiss like people who have found a door and have time to open it properly. Slow, attentive, grown. Not a rush, not a theft, a choice. The net cradles us. The rails hold the rest of the room. The air hums approval. She tastes like lemon and something clean I can't name. I thought humans were loud, she murmurs against my mouth. We can be quiet when it matters, I say, feeling foolish and proud at once. Her lips curve. We fold back into the net and breathe like we're syncing with a larger thing than the sim, like we're rehearsing steadiness for a world determined to push. I memorize the map of her hands where they rest. One splayed over my sternum, the other braced near my shoulder, ready to push me away if she must, choosing not to. A soft chime, distant as memory, reminds us that Bay 3 belongs to the station more than to us. Syra's eyes open and find mine. There's a new calculation there, added to a ledger I can't read yet. Not debt. Not command. Something that looks like risk, dressed up as logic. One more run? I ask. Her throat moves as she swallows. Yes, she says. Together. We rise, and the room remembers how to hold us without weight. This time we don't need instruction. We find each other by instinct, palm to rail, hand to shoulder, breath to breath, moving through the cylinder like two pieces of a machine that somewhere someone meant to pair, but forgot to admit it on the schematics. I don't let go of the rail, not because she told me so, but because this anchor, today, is a promise and a hope. At the end of the lap, we stop without words. Our foreheads touch. The sim light shifts toward violet, station noon. Normally, I run from quiet. With her, I learn to stay. We drift to the net again, slower than necessary. I put my hand over hers. She doesn't pull away. The world outside the bay can wait. Here, the training got away from us, and I'm not sorry. The tech garden is where Red Ridge hides its lungs, a small dome tucked beside a maintenance spine, famous for nothing, labeled with 3 boring words. Biofilter access. Authorized. Condensation beads on the inner glass like stars that forgot how to shine. The air tastes damp and mint green. Pumps whisper beneath grates, sipping station breath and feeding it through lines of algae like glowing green lace. Syra palms the lock, and the clear door slides, slow as a yawn. No one comes here, she says, easing it shut behind us. The click is deliberate. The dome hushes down, irrigation hush layered under the slow thrum of the station's spin. It's just the two of us. No protocols, no drones. Even my suit's status runes dim as if the room has convinced them to rest. She moves between rows where cables grow like vines and vines grow like cables. Luminous algae curtains climb up cylinder walls, casting soft green on her skin I'm trying not to stare at. We pass a cluster of mint engineered to scrub ammonia. Its leaves breathe out a cool sweetness. Moisture halos her hair. I notice the scar by her ear again, silver as wire. Why here? I ask, because anything else feels reckless, and this already is. Because the station forgets it, Syra says, and I needed to see if forgetting is possible. Her voice is steady, but something under it trembles like a wire under tension. She stops near a tank, where tiny shrimp flex under light like punctuation marks. The filter hums, and tiny bubbles rise in straight, disciplined columns. "Sit," she says. I sit on a low bench, meant for no one. Condensation chills the back of my thighs through fabric. She stands close enough that my shoulder would brush her hip if either of us leaned. We do not lean. Not yet. "I wanted to ask you a question," she says. "Ask." "When you said great wife yesterday." Her head tilts, same precise degree as in the bay. "Did you intend to purchase me?" "No," I say too quickly. "God, no. It was where I'm from. It's shorthand for steady and kind, for someone who stays when things tilt." I swallow. A poor joke from a nervous man. She studies me, measures pulse, pupils, micro flinches I don't know I'm giving. Then, accepted. A breath. "Do not attempt to buy me." My laugh comes low. Noted. Syra's gaze travels over the garden like she's reading. Valve, sensor, leaf. The discipline in her posture loosens an imperceptible notch. She reaches up and pinches a tiny mint leaf, rolls it between her fingers, brings the scent to her nose like she's trying to memorize whatever makes it mint and not protocol. I watch, shameless, like a man learning a prayer. "I have been told I perform care poorly," she says. "I deliver outcomes. I make systems obey. People expect warmth. I can simulate it. They say the simulation feels expensive." Interested, I lean forward without meaning to. "Does that bother you?" "It is data." A pause. "It bothers me that I cannot decide what to do with the data." Another pump kicks on, and a trickle starts somewhere we can't see. It sounds like rain that has been taught manners. She turns toward me, and the dome's light raises a new color in her eyes. "May I try something?" she asks. "Yes," I say, and my heart takes off like a child on a hill. She steps closer. The space between us narrows until breath becomes weather. She lifts her hand to my temple, slow enough that I could be anywhere else if I wanted. Her fingertips find the faint pulse there. Read it. Electrical. Inevitable. "Your heart is fast," she says. "You're here," I answer. And then, because I'm tired of being a coward, I lift my hand and lay it carefully over her chest. Above a heartbeat I don't deserve to touch. She inhales once, startled without flinching. My palm finds rhythm through uniform fabric that pretends it's armor. Her skin is warm. The beat is calm. The calmness is not indifference. It's training held in a human shape. "Permission?" I ask, eyes on hers, gratitude already rising because she let me ask. "Yes," Syra says, and sets her hand atop mine like she's taking a reading of my reading. "Hold." We stand like that, two sensors lowered to flesh. Words retreat. Their shapes still hum in the room, but the right ones are busy, and the wrong ones know to keep quiet. The mint breathes, the algae glow, her pupils widen a fraction. Mine probably do the same. I count beats until counting becomes worship. The first kiss is not an accident. It is a door we open together. She leans in, not with hunger, but with intention. I meet her. Our mouths learn each other slowly, like engineers handling a delicate part that could break if you rush. Her lips taste like lemon from disinfectant and cool leaves. The skin at the corner of her mouth warms under my thumb. I feel her choose each millimeter. "We can stop," I say against her, because I've been the man who takes too much once, and I am determined not to be him again. "We can," she answers, and does not stop. I want to understand the difference between command and giving. What I take, I owe, I say. What I'm given, I guard. "Guard," she repeats, like a new tool sliding into a belt. Yes. The kiss deepens, not louder, just simpler. No performance, no debt ledger, no protocol covering a wound. She sighs when my fingers find the hinge of her jaw. I gasp when her palms slide to my lower back and anchor me without pressure, the same way she anchored me in the sim. It feels like being allowed into gravity after years of drift. When we separate, it's not because something breaks. It's because the room has taught us how to breathe again, and we remember to try. Our foreheads rest together, slick with a little condensation. Her eyes close. Mine follow. The garden hums on, indifferent. A coolant line chatters, then settles. I thought humans were loud, she murmurs, and the way she says it makes me braver. We can be quiet when it matters, I answer, my voice rougher than I meant. I can be quiet for you. She opens her eyes, and for a heartbeat, I see calculation flicker. Old system prompts, old chains built from if, then. Then something in her face unhooks. She moves her hand from my chest to my cheek, thumb drawing a line that feels like forgiveness. Luke Hansen, she says softly, do not purchase me. I couldn't afford you, I say, and I wouldn't try. Good, she whispers, and touches her mouth to mine once, like a seal on an agreement that isn't legal anywhere and matters everywhere. We sink onto the bench, shoulder to shoulder. The dome's glass shows a spill of station lights, and beyond, the thin red hush of Mars leaking up over the rim of the world. I want to ask her 1,000 questions about scars and palms calming metal and how long she's been pretending to be just another tech. I don't. Instead, I tell her about learning to hold steady during dust squalls on the reclamation fields, how my father taught me to keep my tone, even so the rest of me would follow. Your voice, she says. It calmed the Simbay. You noticed? I measured, she admits. It made room. I laugh, a small sound. Room for what? For choice. Something in my chest loosens, like a strap I forgot I'd tightened when I was 13 and trying to be a man. The word choice echoes in here where air is made on purpose. I turn to Sarah. What do you choose? She looks at the door, then at my mouth, then at our hands folded like we're praying to the wrong saint. To return to work in 10 minutes, she says. Practical, precise. Then, quieter. And to return here again. With you. That sounds like a plan. Not a plan, she corrects gently. A choice. We sit in chosen quiet. I memorize the sound of her breath and the way the condensation drips from an overhead pipe, because if the world tilts later, and it always does, I want to be able to rebuild this moment from parts. I lean my head to her shoulder. She does not stiffen. She leans back. Small, deliberate, a calibration that becomes comfort. Outside the dome, a distant alarm coughs once and dies, some maintenance sweep logging a harmless anomaly. In here, the pumps keep time. The garden keeps us. She lifts my hand and sets it over her heart again, like setting a tool where it belongs. Steady, she says. Steady, I echo. I don't know the shape of what's coming. I only know that when things tilt, I have a place to put my hands, and a person who will teach me where to breathe. The alarm starts like a cough in the ducts, the station clearing its throat before it screams. In the tech garden, Sarah and I lift our heads at the same time. A red rune snaps to life on the glass. Security event. Priority 1. The mint falls suddenly silent, as if leaves can listen. Consortium? I ask. Sarah is already moving. Raid pattern, she says, voice tight. They hunt rare stock. Stock. My skin goes cold. Rare like me? No, rare like her. Another rune blooms. Colder. Off-protocol beings to be surrendered. Compliance secures credit. Sarah's jaw tightens. We need to move. We are out of the dome and into a corridor lit like a wound. Station speakers spit orders in stacked languages. Dock workers stream one way. security another. I catch at Syra's sleeve and she allows it, just once, then shakes free to run faster. Syra, what does off-protocol mean? I ask, though I think I know. It means me, she says, not slowing. And anyone like me. A team of orange-vested enforcers clatters past with splitter rifles held like judgment. One looks at Sarah's badge, at her face, at the line of green garden damp on her collar. He starts to speak. She tilts her head at a degree I recognize as command, and he falters, uncertain. We move. She drags me down a maintenance stair where the lighting is always brand new, or 30 years broken. We emerge into a service tunnel that smells like dust, coolant, and lies. The station's main decks are spiraling into neat lockdown squares. Here, the maps go off-grid. Syra knows the turns like a woman who learned this route with her feet and not a screen. Pods, I pant. If we can, she says, or the tug bay. The raiders cut power first, then life support to soft targets. And they'll target you, I say, because her skin remembered metal, and the metal remembered back. Yes, she says without drama. They pay well for my kind. We skim past an inspection window. Out beyond the glass, Red Ridge's ring turns and twitches, clamping shut. Farther still, a bright knot of ships hangs against black, and one of them flashes the consortium's lawful piratical blue, permission to ruin written in corporate script. The alarms change pattern, not mere breach. Boarding. A herd of small scars moves along the station hull, magnetic feet chewing metal. Syra stops so abruptly I almost run into her. 2 security drones hang ahead, lenses hot. They warble. Present identifiers. Off-protocol surrender secures credit. I step forward, raising both hands. Heard you, I say. We're maintenance. We're moving to SEAL Bay 3. The drones scan and spit error glyphs like seeds. Syra's posture shifts. The air around her tightens in a way that makes the back of my neck itch. Syra, I warn, useless. She doesn't look at me. She looks at the drones the way she looked at my capsule when it wanted to panic. A soft, flat gaze that says, obey. The drones stutter. Their lenses dim, then flare, then settle into a programmable blank. Proceed, they say, hollow and part. She keeps her voice level. We have little time, she murmurs. What did you just? Later, she says. We run. The tunnel buckles into a zero-G shaft designed for speed rather than dignity. Don't let go of the rail, she throws over her shoulder. I grin despite myself and push off, catching rungs in the rhythm she taught me. People who grew up in gravity outpace armored men in float. We ghost past a squad clattering in magnetic boots, their visors blind in the glare. Syra skims so close to a wall panel that the static lifts her hair like a halo. A junction opens, and we drop into a catwalk above a cargo maw. Below, raiders in immaculate uniforms strode through fog cut by their own searchlights, their helmets turning like sharks. An officer speaks. The station's PA repeats him in a voice borrowed from our mothers. Surrender off-protocol beings. Credit bonuses apply for timely delivery. A few faces in the shadows turn toward the nearest vents, like hope is an air current they could ride. Syra grips the rail so hard her knuckles go pale. They'll sweep the clinics, she says, and the sim bays. The garden? They forget the garden, she whispers. And now I hear the anger under her control. We hit a sealed hatch with a red strip across it. Tug access. Locked. Syra palms the panel. It stays sickly red. They've frozen my clearance, she says. They saw more than I meant to show. Boots clatter behind us. I try the manual liver. It laughs in rusty tetanus. The clatter is not a patrol. It is 3 men moving like a decision. Syra. My voice goes low. We have to choose. She straightens. The micro-commands vanish. What's left is the woman in the garden, choosing. I draw them, she says. You get to the life pods. No, I say, before the reasons arrive. Together or not at all? Luke, if they take me, they will sell me. If they don't, She bites the word. My overseers will reclaim me. You cannot beat either. I move until my shoulder touches hers. I can choose you, I say. That's a kind of beating. The boots are close. A voice calls. Hands where we can price them? Saira breathes once, sharp. She steps forward and raises her hands. I step with her. The patrol rounds the bend. Their rifles are set to polite. Their smiles are not. The leader tips his head towards Saira. You. Off protocol. Lucky find. Saira's chin lifts. I am station faculty. And we are creditors, the leader says. Lazy. Who owns you is above our pay grade. Hand over, and you might keep yours. I feel my ribs flex around my heart. I hear my father. Busy hands make brave hearts. I drop mine to the manual dock release and wrap my fingers around the cold lever like it's an oar. Before he can finish his next sentence, I speak loud enough for the hatch to hear. She's contracted, I say. Registered as my navigator under Salvage Compact 7th. You touch her, you breach. The leader snorts. Your license is a joke. Expired yesterday, I agree. But the compact recognizes verbal declaration in emergency docking under witness. You, me, and your 2 goons are witnesses. I throw my free hand wide. Saira of Red Ridge, do you consent to navigate me? She understands instantly. Fear moves inside her like a bird, but doesn't lift. I consent, she says, and the word tastes like a blade, and a promise at once. The patrol loses a beat. The compact is old and ugly and built to keep small captains in line with big ones, but its loopholes breed like algae. The leader calculates. His eyes flick to the lever under my hand. Touch that, and you undock this sector, he sneers. You'll tumble into my tender. Maybe, I say, and pull. The hatch screams. Alarms compound into one long animal sound. Pressure locks release in sequence, like dominoes knocked in a circle. The catwalk lurches as the tug bay slides toward separation. The patrol stumbles. One goes to a knee. Saira grabs my harness and anchors us both to the rail. The bay below floods with warning light. Somewhere far, clamps uncurl. The wall beside us peels back to reveal a pod sleeve I had not prayed for. Saira yanks the sleeve manual, and a gray egg slides forward like mercy on rollers. In, she orders. Together, I answer. We dive. The pod's interior is a breath held for a decade. 2 seats, 1 panel, a hand crank for the stubborn. Saira slams her palm to the ignition. It blinks refusal. The station wants signatures we don't have. She doesn't argue. She opens a maintenance bay with a flick and crosses 2 wires with bare fingers. The panel coughs and lights. My seat harness bites my collarbone. The patrol hits the sleeve opening, rifles up. Stay, Saira tells me, and leans half out of the pod. Saira. She looks at the patrol with her soft, flat gaze. Stand down, she says, and this time there's pressure in it. The rifles droop. One man blinks tears without understanding why. The leader snarls and fights it like a fish on a line. He raises his gun again, and the wire in Saira's voice tightens. Stand down, she repeats, and he does. She drops back into the pod and slams the canopy. Her hand finds mine and laces our fingers. The panels agree to our union with a chime, like a door unlocking in a dream. Where now? She asks, as if we're choosing lunch. Somewhere you're not prey, I say, and I'm not an accident. Her mouth curves. Ambitious. Together, I add. Together, she echoes, and the pod kicks free. The station falls away in the viewport. shrinking from god to toy to scar against black. The raider's tender swings like a lazy moon, deciding which throat to cut first. Our pod spins, then stabilizes when Syra lays her palm against the control surface and hums a note I feel in my molars. The stars answer like old colleagues. "Listen," she says, and I do. And the pod obeys her, the way my pulse obeys her hand. A blip blooms on long range, a junk cloud with a hollow in the